Well, as we say, week 4 is in the books. Week 5 is officially coming. Guys, we have a lot to talk about. Pretty short time to get rolling, so let's jump right in. Wow. Started off in Dublin, but wow, guys, we have a great week. Let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks and the Arizona Cardinals. Seattle was able to go down with the Jason Myers a buzzer-beating field goal, 52 yards to beat Arizona. The Dublin game we mentioned, it looked like it was Pittsburgh all the way, guys. It looked like Pittsburgh was doing their thing, but Minnesota had some heroics. Pittsburgh wins 24-21. Guys, we were split. Well, we weren't split. I think I was the lone wolf on this one. But the Washington Commanders and the Atlanta Falcons, looks like the Falcons handled their business, 34-27. One more, and then we're going to pause. Buffalo Bills 31-19 over the Saints. Again, guys, for first quarter or two, it looked like the Saints wanted to play a little football against Buffalo. But let's stop with the Lions finding their stride over the Cleveland Browns 34-10. Now, I know, guys, we all picked the Lions, no surprise, but what in the world, Tim, is going on in Pittsburgh? Now they're in Cleveland. Now they're talking about potentially seeing Joe Flacco not being their starting quarterback. How does that look for this franchise?
Yeah, I think that they are a mess, Cleveland. They've got this incredible defense, and they actually, when they played Green Bay 2 weeks ago, they look like, all right, maybe they have something going here. If they can protect the ball and keep the games tight with that defense, they might be in it. But Detroit just put together their best game of the season, complete game. They've had back-to-back very impressive games, and two teams going in opposite directions there. Detroit moving up and showing that they are going to be there at the end, and Cleveland, I think, a mess. And I think maybe at this point, maybe you do move on from Flacco and see what you have there with the other 9 quarterbacks on their roster or whatever they have.
Yeah, Josh, you're no stranger to this division. Of course, Shador had some comments about being better than some of the 32 quarterbacks starting. I don't want to quote Shador here, but your takeaway, are we getting close to seeing Joe Flacco not their starting quarterback?
Yeah, there's rumors or statements saying that Dylan Gabriel is, of course, the next one up, and he'll have a chance to start. Doesn't look pretty for them. Their matchup's upcoming. But you're also not getting receiving production at this moment from your guys right now. Your leading receiver in the previous game, as we're talking about the Lions, was Isaiah Bond with 58 yards. Then Jerry Jeudy, he still had the number 1 target share in the team with 9 targets, but 48 yards. And then you have Judkins, Fannin, and Njoku, your 3 outlets. And then we have Cedric Tillman getting injured in this game now. So you're going to have to see rookies step up. Obviously, Quinshon Judkins taking over that running back room. You're likely going to have Bond as your wide receiver 2, a rookie running back as your number 1 running back, a rookie as your number 2 running back, a rookie as your number 2 tight end, and now Dylan Gabriel, a rookie starting at quarterback. So it's not going to be great for them, but of course they get to see a look at what their future could look like with those guys, with those young talents.
Yeah, what do you think? Yeah, go.
Judkins, Josh brought him up. If you got him in fantasy, you got him late, or you picked him up off the waiver wire after week 2, and you hoped you got him. He came in, played, I think, over half the game against Baltimore, had 7 points, which was 60 yards rushing, 10 yards receiving. Next game is Green Bay, which is one of the stout defenses in the league. He put up 15 fantasy points in Standard League, 94 rushing yards, and a touchdown. Then the next game plays Detroit, which is another top-end defense, and put up 20 carries for 80 rushing yards and another touchdown. So it looks like he's matchup proof. He's played 2 of the top defenses in the league. So if you have that guy in fantasy, or if you don't, I would try to trade for him, because people might be low on him because he is on the Browns and people don't like the Browns, and their matchup seems scary. Like Minnesota, Pittsburgh, the next 2 weeks are scary, especially for running backs. So if you can get him, Quinshon Judkins looks like a league winner.
Yeah, and right now he has 240 rushing yards at almost 5 yards a carry in those few games.
2.5 games, yeah.
Yeah. So obviously there's no question he's the lead runner when the other rushing totals in that game are 1 yard from Fannin and the negative yards from everybody else. So he's the clear guy.
Their defense and Quinshon are the only 2 brights for the Cleveland Browns team. So try to be positive.
Yeah. Well, let's not be too positive, because I mean, you talk about Tennessee putting up 0 points against Houston. Houston 26. Yeah. Now Houston's had their struggles, Tim. They have not been exactly clicking on all cylinders. In fact, I'd say they've had some pretty ugly offensive performances, but they managed to pull off the win 26-0. Should we be alarmed in Tennessee?
Alarmed in Tennessee, and
Alarm.
maybe alarm. Yeah, that's an understatement. I would say alarm for sure, but more so, I don't even know what the expectation was, if we can be honest, right? Like, was anyone in Tennessee saying that they were a Super Bowl team? No. So maybe they're doing it the right way and just taking the slow approach to building the team. I don't know, but they are not it. But Houston, on the other hand, they might have the positive for them is possibly finding their new RB1. Might have Woody Marks there had 2 touchdowns, had a nice little game. So that we started the year they had that. I think they had like 4 running back by committee right back there, and so for him to emerge, that might be a positive sign for Texas for Houston. But Tennessee, I don't have too many positives. Young quarterback, obviously rookie, but you should be alarmed, I guess, if you're a Tennessee fan.
Yeah, I mean,
That's something to add.
Anytime I think you see a team put up 0 like that's
Right,
that's cause for alarm. Go ahead, Caleb.
Yeah, the Texans, if you got them in fantasy, I keep going back to fantasy because that's like probably 40% of what matters to people for football now. But the Texans, they've been very disappointing. Nico Collins, I think, has 1 touchdown. Jaden Higgins has 1 touchdown. He's a rookie in the top of the 2nd round. Woody Marks, like Tim said, has emerged out of this backfield. But their offensive line has gotten better every single week with the pressure rate that they've allowed. I believe it was like 40% week 1, and it's gone down to like 29% now. So they're getting better as a group, figuring it out. And I think it goes to show that people aren't playing their starters in preseason. It's that, again, this offensive line is finally figuring it out after a month of football, which would normally be that preseason time frame. So teams are figuring it out. I think week 5, 6, we see where teams actually stand as far as their talent levels. So I think the Texans are a little bit better than they have been this past month.
Right. I was the brilliant guy to pick the Titans in this matchup. And don't confuse them for the Falcons, who put up 0 the week prior. They're nowhere close to the Falcons. I think the Titans, confidently we can say, sit at the bottom of the league right now, obviously being 0-4. But you look at the production of their receivers. I think right now, Elik Ayamaner has been their number 1 receiver through each and every single week. Calvin Ridley, I believe, ran the 4th most routes, or the 4th fewest, however you word that. He was the 4th receiver in this game for the Titans as far as participation. They say there's an injury, but it's kind of looked like that the whole year so far. Tony Pollard, pencil him in for a good old 60, 70 yards and nothing else. And then Cam Ward in this game, 10 of 26, 108 yards, about 40% completion. So the offensive production isn't there. The defensive production, it doesn't do enough for them to make up for the lackluster offense. So yes, the Texans have been disappointing, but the Titans have outmatched them in disappointment.
Yeah, the battle of the bulge, we say. All right, let's talk about Carolina Panthers visiting New England Patriots. No surprise there. New England, 42 points put up against Carolina's 13. Guys, here's a surprise. Let's park the bus for a second. New York upsets the Chargers 21-18. A Marion Hampton 54-yard touchdown run was definitely a spark for them, but Justin Herbert had his hands full with that defense, Josh. And you've been high on this New York defense all year. What's your takeaway from this game?
Yeah, right now you're seeing, speaking with the New York defense, I believe Brian Burns is leading the NFL in sacks. He's had a sack every single game. Great production there. You're seeing flashes from the other edge rushers. Kayvon Thibodeau is getting a ton of pressure. Abdul Carter, their nickel corner. Andrew Phillips is playing very well. So the defense is playing well. They needed a change in offense, like we mentioned in the previous week. It's fourth and short, and Russell Wilson's throwing a bomb. Like, what's happening? But right now they ran the football a ton with Cam Scattergo. I don't have the numbers exactly, but a ton of rushes from him and a ton of rushes from Jackson Dart. Just holding on to the football, not having turnovers, taking care of the short yardage plays, and that's really how they got through in this game. They didn't have big throws from Dart. We didn't see a ton from Dart as a passer, but they certainly took care of this offense as passively and conservatively as they could, and it worked against a Chargers team that really didn't have much going for them outside of the one Quentin Johnston play, and then, as you mentioned, Omarion Hampton and his second breakout game now.
Tim, looks like Malik Neighbors, his apparent ACL tear, certainly hurt their passing game. He's out for the season. We're starting to see injuries, major injuries, starting to mount up very quickly.
Yeah, that hurts the Giants for sure. And then the other one that hurts the Chargers with Joe Alt, their left tackle who protects Justin Herbert. That might be one of the most
Yeah.
under talked or flying
Underrated.
under the radar injuries. Herbert, I think we all agree, is easily a top 10 quarterback in this league. And if you can't protect him, that changes the whole way, the whole scheming and the whole game plan for a team like that. So Neighbors, again, just a phenomenal wide receiver. We talked about this last week. We're all fans of football. I love watching Malik Neighbors. I want to see the good players play. And so, that's a devastating blow for the Giants. Again, kind of like the Titans. I don't think any of us thought the Giants were going anywhere this year, but still, it's 1 year. It puts them a year behind of where he should be as far as progress.
Yeah, I had one thing to mention about Joe Alt. Joe Alt's been fantastic as a left tackle, but we know that they're missing Rashawn Slater already, who was their left tackle.
Yeah.
So Rashawn Slater's out. Joe Alt went from right tackle to left tackle, and so we don't know necessarily what's going to be, at least consistency wise, what's going to go on for them, because it's already been moved around before the season ever started with Joe Alt being there. So now with him out, like Tim mentioned, there could be a lot more pressure on Justin Herbert, of course.
Caleb, you had something to add?
Yeah, I was just going to mention the field. It was another injury, ACL injury, non-contact. He was just jumping off the ground on that turf, and they need to address that. I think we talked about it last year. It's 20-something%, forgive me if I'm wrong, more likely to have a non-contact injury on that field. That's a big percent. I would not want to play on that field if I was a football player. It's just unfortunate, especially it being an all-star like Neighbors. So hopefully he can recover and be good for next year, but man.
To mention with the stadium and the field is, look at all of their offensive weapons that they've had the last decade. Saquon's been hurt on that field. Malik Neighbors hurt on that field. Odell Beckham, Sterling Shepard, Wan'Dale Robinson, Evan Ingram. Like literally everybody they've had offensively that is a premier option for them has been injured on that field.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No. If you guys didn't hear it,
Same with the Vets.
The Vets.
Yeah,
what's
the
that?
Jets.
Same with the Jets.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, that field. And I don't know if you guys got a chance to see it. I forget which one of us were watching it earlier, but John Gruden's pretty animated about not playing. And I've said, and I'm glad to hear someone like John Gruden say it. Like Timmy's basically saying, like, you can't get in. You heard me say, like, you can't get in football shape, but he's saying you can't run blocks who you run block, and you can't do these things. So he's blaming the injuries more on the fact that people aren't necessarily in football shape. I've said that as well. I don't know. It's an awful lot. And I think it has more to do than turf, but it's an awful lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll get to another injury later as we get to the Monday night game, but let's keep moving. Let's land the plane again right here with the Eagles and the Bucks. Eagles win 31-25. The Buccaneers, guys, this is the tale of two halves. And here's the worst part. I say this every week. I'm going to say it again until I change my mind. Saquon Barkley was held to 43 yards on 19 carries. Hurts looked pedestrian again. I don't know how they're winning football games. They're good at winning, but I don't know what else they're good at. Josh, what are they good at other than winning? And that's all that matters. I get it. But I don't understand. I really don't understand.
They're a great first half team outside of the Rams game last week where they did everything in the second half. They didn't throw a ball in the second half of this game. They had 0 passing yards. So it's obviously a concern. And it seems silly. Like it's easy for you to be judged when you say it's a concern when they've won every single game they've played. But you can't use it as a predictive measure of success. Looking at what's happening. They got by in this game. They were playing against a Buccaneers team that had Chris Godwin returning, but no Mike Evans. Kate Ottens, his hands are still affecting the way he's catching the football. Hurt offensive line. It's just the Eagles, they're doing well when they do well, and then half of the game is just, I don't understand. So like you said, it's pretty inexplainable how they're just stringing together these wins. But I'm sure a loss will bring so much joy to their receiving core and the non-stats that they're bringing as well.
Well, let me say this, Tim. I want to address this to you because this is passive aggressive in my opinion. I want your opinion. AJ Brown.
Okay.
This is what he put on Twitter. If you're not welcome, not listened to, quietly withdraw, don't make a scene, shrug your shoulders, and be on your way. I mean, isn't that drawing attention and making a scene? Just saying it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he's just following in the footsteps of any other look at me receiver, you know?
Right.
I mean, he thinks he's a new act. CTO, see all these other guys, Randy Moss, see all these other guys that have done that act before.
Antonio Brown,
they've all
AB.
done that act. Yeah, Antonio Brown, yeah, AB, my goodness gracious,
King.
But yeah, I echo what Josh said. My gosh, like on paper, you know, before the season, if I said the Eagles are going to start 4-0, I go, yeah, absolutely. They have the talent. You look at those names on paper, of course they're going to start 4-0. Then you watch the games and you're like, what? How are they 4-0?
Yeah.
Just because they have not put together a pretty game yet. You mentioned that Jalen Hurts 0 for 8 against the blitz in the second half. I mean, terrible in that second half. But they're 4-0, so I mean, any of us would trade with them right now in the standings. So,
well,
yeah.
All right, let's move on. Indianapolis Colts, guys. You said it, Tim. Waiting for them to play a good team. They played a good team. LA Rams come away with the win, 27-20. You know, I'll say this. When we were watching the game, I said, guys, I'm not putting this loss on Daniel Jones, and here's why. Number 10 got a little handsy with the ball in the end zone, turned over. That's 6 points they didn't have. Number 10 erased the best run of the season, an angry, spinning, nasty, you know, Taylor run that came back. To my math, that's 14 points they take off the board. They lost by 7. I'm not blaming the quarterback. Caleb, what did you think of this game?
Yeah, it was just self-induced. It was a close game. Adonai Mitchell, 2 times, like he said, is the reason why they lost. The Colts should have won that game. Jonathan Taylor, that run was might have been one of the best runs of the year if it stood. So it's just the Colts coaching. They just need to coach up that one guy. Apparently, he lost it for him. That's all I got to say.
Josh,
I will say, if that play was a touchdown from Adonai Mitchell, that's easily one of the best receiving plays of the season as well. So yes, he made a mistake. Jonathan Taylor made a similar mistake last year against the Broncos with the fumble before the end zone. Obviously, it's not something you intend to do, but of course, it's a mistake that they need to clean up on. So yes, it's Mitchell's fault, of course, but he did make a miraculous full field would-be touchdown play that would have been one of the highlights of the entire season, but it's just being overshadowed by the conclusion of the play, which was turning over the football. The Colts, they beat themselves in this game. You can't pin it exclusively on Daniel Jones, like you said, although he did throw the interception at the end of the game. We know the pressure situations are not Daniel Jones' finest moments, but the Colts definitely beat themselves, and the Rams just took care of business.
And I'll just add on to that. The only person that had almost as bad of a game as Mitchell is Xavier Howard. He got cooked by Puka. Puka just had a heck of a game and just went off. 42 catches, 503 yards for the season so far. He might be the best receiver in the game right now, at least the way he's playing. So, he just cooked them.
Yeah,
sure.
No, I agree. I've said this. I'll keep saying it. Like, as much as we're nerds about football, so we look at the things that Hurts does and Baker does, and we get excited, and we love all that. But I love that these games have been close, and that there's been every week after week, matchup after matchup. So sometimes the score doesn't always tell it, but I mean, wow, I thought the Rams and the Colts was a great game. Go ahead, Josh.
I had one thing to push off of not push off, but add to what Tim was saying about Puka Nacua. The only receivers with 42 catches through 4 games are Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, both of Matthew Stafford, and then Michael Thomas with Drew Brees. So, obviously, you look at those seasons, Michael Thomas, I believe, broke the reception record that season. Cooper Kupp, one of the greatest seasons of all time. Puka Nacua is the only other receiver through 4 weeks to have 42 catches. So, obviously, on track for a big season. And with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson not having a premier quarterback play right now, he's got a pretty smooth pathway to being that number 1 receiver this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Smoother, rather.
smoother. Let's move on down the road. Jacksonville gets a win against San Francisco 49ers. I think the 4 turnovers probably killed their momentum every time they had it going, for sure. That'll do it. You turn the ball over, it's really hard. Brock Purdy did a lot of chunk plays in this game. To me, Brock Purdy, Mac Jones, what's the difference? But I don't know. Good to see Jacksonville.
Their team is dead right now.
Yeah, their team is dead, and I don't know. Anybody want to chime in on this one?
No.
26.
No.
I can't. Caleb, hold it up higher. I can't see it. Let me see it. No, I love
Resounding
that.
No.
Resounding
that works. It's backwards and opposite for me. Right.
How come Christian McCaffrey's the healthiest man in America and his team's dead? But last year they only needed McCaffrey. It's I don't understand, but
I mean,
they're doing good despite this loss, I would say.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on down the road. Kansas City's at home. They faced the Baltimore Ravens. They win 37-20. Obviously, Xavier Worthy's return ignited Patrick Mahomes. He looked great. Let's unpack it because it looks like we have another injury to talk about, Josh. Injury in Baltimore that's going to impact the next couple of weeks. But what's your takeaway from this game?
Yeah, as you mentioned, Lamar Jackson, is it officially a hamstring? They said it was a hamstring when he was in the game, but he's going to miss some time. And so we know what that means. It's their offense completely changed because Cooper Rush is playing quarterback for them. Receiving is not their strong suit despite the talents that they have. Obviously, we know Zay Flowers, Bateman, Hopkins, Andrews likely. Are we going to see that come to fruition in this game? I have no idea. They also have the captain of their defense, Roquan Smith, dealing with an injury as well. They already had struggles at their second interior linebacker position, running around with rookies and Trenton Simpson. So it's a big concern for them. And then you add to missing your best 2 players on each side of the ball. The scores that they're allowing through these games, I know they've played great teams. They played the Bills. They allowed 41 points. They played the Lions. They allowed 38 points. They played the Chiefs. They allowed 37 points. And then you take away those 2 players that we mentioned. It certainly is not going to be a bright spot for them going forward.
Yeah. Tim?
I'll piggyback off Josh very quickly because that was going to be my point. We throw out a lot of numbers on this podcast, but 133 points is how many points they've given up over 4 games. Let that sink in for a second. 133 points in 4 games. That's wild. By far, obviously, the most in franchise history through the first 4 games. I don't know too many teams in the NFL that have ever given up that many over the first 4 games of the season. That's just a wild number. Again, Josh did say, you are right. They played some great teams, but you cannot be in Super Bowl conversation when you're giving up that much, and then you lose some more pieces. So, yeah. They're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, without a doubt. Let's move down the road. Let's talk about the to me a surprise because I picked Vegas to win, but the Bears 25-24 over the Raiders. Not really much to talk about here other than Caleb Williams seemed to string together some drives that kept this game alive for him. But anybody want to land here?
Someone else could talk about him, but Ashton Genty. I believe he led the league. Would he lead the league in rushing this week? And then he also had yards after contact lead the league in rushing as well. So obviously a great game from him. But he's going to be playing without his left tackle in the coming games as well for an offensive line that was already struggling. So great game. He displayed that he's here and displayed that his talent is prevalent and going to be good in the NFL for a long time. But in the short period of time that we have coming up with Geno Smith throwing multiple interceptions in multiple games now, it's just not going to be a reliable offense despite Genty and his efforts and Bowers and his efforts despite being hurt as well.
Yeah. Anything you want to add before we move on?
Nope.
I just said I'll let someone else talk about him, and then I talked about him. So.
Yeah.
No, you said all the right things.
That's why we're moving on. Let's talk about what, not bias at all, but let's talk about what turned out to be maybe the game of the week because Green Bay was a heavily favored team coming into Dallas. Dak Prescott, guys, nearly perfect performance despite not having CeeDee Lamb and some offensive linemen down. 3 touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. Looked like Dak of old. Micah Parsons surprisingly wasn't as big a factor. Although, guys, I really hate the rule about the sack. Where in my mind, and I know I'm old school. I don't remember when this changed. I don't know. I'm old enough. They probably didn't count sacks or something when I was little. I don't know. But here's the point. Dak said in the press conference, it wasn't a sack because in my mind, you get out of the pocket. I know he barely got to the line of scrimmage. The rule is if you're a quarterback and you don't make it to the line of scrimmage and you're tackled behind the line, it is a sack. Dumb rule. To me, it should be if you're outside of the pocket, it's a tackle, not a sack. But other than that, Tim, I know I texted you very early in the night, like at kickoff, and said congratulations.
You did.
And I was, I am most at peace when I know we're going to lose. So my wife was actually getting a little like, when Dak scored the first time, she's like, thank goodness. And I was like, well, babe, it's fine. We're going to lose this game. Guys, I'm getting old. I say this every week. I went to bed when Mike Tirico said we're going to overtime, thinking, okay, I'm not going to be upset. I know we're going to lose. Then I got up and immediately pulled the highlight reel. Guys, this was 40-40. It speaks volumes for their offense, but it doesn't say a whole lot about their defenses. These defenses are not looking good, Tim.
No, they're not. And we've as a Packers fan, I got to own it. We've talked about how great their defense was the first few weeks, and they were not. And one of the keys is Devontae Wyatt. He got injured, left the game, and up until that point, they hadn't given up any points. And so I think plays a little bit of a bigger role in that defense than maybe we had even anticipated. Yeah, just very disappointing. It wound up just kind of being a track race there towards the end. Jordan Love almost blew it, with his time management at the very end of regulation. Really, by I think Caleb and I were saying before we came on the air, by probably about a half second was left. Packers, those two offensive linemen. Weirdly, it's good that they have the bye coming up this week. Normally, nobody likes a Week 5 bye, but they need those. Zach Tom and Aaron Banks, their left guard, and Zach Tom's their right tackle. But they need him. They need them back. They need a strong offensive line. Dak looked good. If I'm a Cowboys fan, I walk away from that kind of encouraged, honestly. But back to your original question, the defenses, no, neither of the defenses look good.
No. Caleb, what's your takeaway?
They're both kind of were the teams that we thought they were outside of the Packers defense allowing so many points, like Tim talked about with the injury. George Pickens was the biggest thing in this game. I think he had 8 catches, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. More on the bone, too. He was wide open on a couple plays that Dak went to the right side of the field to Tolbert. I think Dak will throw more one-on-one balls to George Pickens now. I think he understands you can just throw it up, and it's very likely that he'll come down with it. That one in the end zone where he dropped it, he caught it with one hand, and it didn't survive the ground. I think it was in the first or second quarter. Highlight reel every time he catches the ball. It doesn't really make sense. He's just that good. It's just weird to watch the Cowboys have someone like that outside of CeeDee Lamb. So feel good as a Dallas fan. We have a run game for once. Javonte Williams looks great still. I think he's top 5 in rushing, if I'm not wrong. Looks great. So I'm encouraged. Dallas needs to get a safety and one more corner so Bland can move back to the nickel because we're letting up way too many points. We're right behind the Ravens in points allowed, I believe. So not great. Hard to win games when you're letting up 35 points.
And Josh, we talked off air a lot about, are there options that the Cowboys can use to strengthen that defense in free agency right now? Are there players out there that what do you recommend if you're Jerry Jones? What do you need to do to shore it up with what's available?
Yeah, of course, the most open market generally is the defensive backs. So there's going to be a lot of veteran guys. There was Mike Hilton last week. He went back to Lou Anarumo, who's now the Colts DC, and he immediately plugged in and played, I think, 80% of the game for them on the Colts defense. So there's guys like that. There's Stephon Gilmore who's played in this defense. Different system, but the same group of guys he played with. Justin Simmons is still available, who used to be a premier safety, was pretty good last year still with the Falcons. He's wide open and available. But they've added a lot to the edge rusher room. Jadeveon Clowney's played. He played one game, but he played well. I think the biggest thing for the Cowboys is, of course, the defensive play and the offensive play and the extremes of those two. Because right now, if you look at the yardage, they're the number 1 offense and the number 32 defense. So they are the best and the worst on opposite sides of the football, which is obviously it's hard to win games like that. But they're winning despite allowing more yards on defense than they put up on offense.
Yeah, no,
That's how you win.
That is how you win, but it's super tough when that. Yeah, it's super tough, and I know Jerry did say like he's sick for the coaches and players that seem to be doing well and getting losses and ties. So I can 1,000% relate to that. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Tim, you don't like the tie at all, do you?
Oh, I hate it. I texted my son at college and I said, "Oh my gosh, we just stayed up till 12:30 to watch a tie. Like, I want to go double overtime." And I'm fine with the overtime rule, but I think let's go double overtime. There were some interesting. I'll be honest. I had to look up. Speaking of rules, the clarification between the kickoff for the 35-yard line versus a 20-yard line. Like that's right. Did that change this year on the touchback? Yeah. So because Cowboys special teams there really took advantage of that. But back to the tie now. I hate a tie. I mean, I guess it's better than a loss.
Well,
but yeah,
we'll see.
It
didn't help anybody.
No,
right now nobody wins. Yeah.
With what Tim mentioned about kickers and punters, at least it adds another element to the talent of that position. Because now we're seeing these punters that we may not have paid attention to. And now we're looking at them and being like, what are you doing? Like there's excitement now to these kicks and where they're placing them.
Yeah. Well,
you're going to have a whole nother branch of kicking come out of this, where you'll have you might have two kickers on your roster, one that can kick long distance field goals and one that can do landing zone accuracy stuff. So it's interesting to see.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, 2 more games. Let's talk about them. I'll give you the score of the most boring one, which is Bo Nix destroying the Bengals, 21-3. That's absolutely terrible.
I thought that said boo at first, but
you went from no to Bo.
No to Bo. I like it. The game I think that we have to at least land on a little bit is, week to week, the new coach with the New York Jets is convinced that they're not the same old Jets. But the same old Jets keep losing, 21-27 to, is it Waller? Did Waller make that big of an impact on this offense? Because suddenly he's in the game and they have 27 points and they're going toe to toe, with the Jets. I mean, it's the Jets. But Josh, another big time injury to talk about in this one.
Gosh.
Brutal.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill. If you watched the broadcast, I think we had the both games on at the same time, so we didn't have the audio on. We just saw Tyreek Hill kind of slip, and then they immediately went to commercial. Then we came back, and there's a cart. But if you watch the replay, his leg, obviously it's dislocated. He tore a ton of ligaments in his knee. I can't say which ones. I haven't kept up with it, but it's obvious and apparent that it's a major injury for him. We saw players like Tank Dell and Nick Chubb have similar injuries, and that's held them out for a long time. Nick Chubb's not the same guy. Tank Dell's not playing this year. So it's very concerning for them.
Sure.
The bright spot, as you mentioned, Darren Waller, 27 yards, 2 touchdowns. He didn't play even half the game. But he adds an element of a big target to this offense. All their receivers have been shorter guys. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Malik Washington. Their tight ends have been nothing. And then Devon Achane, this is the first real big target for Tua, and you see him go immediately to him on 2 different red zone possessions. So at least he adds an element there if he can't add anything else.
Yeah, I would like to add about Darren Waller. He retired last year on the Giants. People thought that he just was done. I mean, I guess he was, but he's back. He's healthy. I think he's taking that time for his hip and his hamstrings to get back to normal. He's kind of fresh legs. See how long he can last. If you remember 2020 and 2019, where he led the league for tight ends, 146 targets, 107 catches, 1,196 yards, 9 touchdowns. So he was tight end 2 that year behind Kelsey. Legit weapon, and obviously the Dolphins have been lacking size. They had Tyreek Hill, who hasn't done anything this year, to be honest. No one outside of Achane has really done anything on that team, so he is their number one option right now on paper. Waddle's always kind of there, but never is a problem for defenses, never does anything outside of maybe a big streaking play. I'm excited for Waller, not only because I have him in every single league that I'm in, but I think he's a legit weapon. As long as his hamstrings can hold up, he will be productive, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the Jets for one moment?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson right now, fantasy-wise, is wide receiver 5. The clear number 1 option in that game, or in that offense. Mason Taylor, the rookie, they kept showing Jason Taylor. If you don't know by now, yes, they are related. For God's sake, stop showing us Jason Taylor in the stands.
Something about Taylor in the
Yes.
stands. If your name's Taylor, you're going to get shown.
You get the shout out. That's
Apparently.
right.
Yeah.
But yes,
Good.
he's emerging as their tight end. Braylon Allen got injured in this game, I think, with an MCL injury, so he's going to likely be on IR. Brees Hall, the lone man there. But someone brought it to my attention. I don't know if it was a graphic or what it was, but it showed Justin Fields in games where the opposing team has scored over 20 points. He has not won a single one of those games.
Wow.
So he's never come back. He's never overcome 3 touchdowns scored by another team. And once again, in this game against the Dolphins, they lose that game.
Yeah.
13 penalties
Don't let
by
the
the Jets.
see that graphic. They might
3 lost fumbles. Yeah, I know. Don't let them see that.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Do we say same old Jets yet, or is it too early to tell?
I think that they're cursed. I actually do. I think Joe Namath did some voodoo and got them the Super Bowl back in the day, and they just can't do anything since.
It's a little
I
voodoo
will say,
hex.
here's the only positive spin if you're a Jets fan. You're like 2 plays away from being 2-2 right now. They could have won week 1. They could have won week 3. So they were right there. So I think the narrative would be different. No matter what, we'd be saying that was a terrible game. They played terribly. But I think 2-2 sounds or is obviously a lot better than 0-4. But yeah, that was not a good game for the Jets at all.
Well, their reward is they might be able to throw up 40 against Dallas this week.
They probably will.
They probably will.
Justin Fields starting versus Dallas.
Well, yeah, that's been the bright spot is 30 points 2 times that Justin Fields finished a football game. So,
well,
if you don't watch Jets, then you love Justin Fields.
Yeah, just don't watch the games.
Don't watch the games. Don't get your hopes up. Sorry.
And it's not that he's been bad. It's not that he's been bad. Like Tim said, they could easily be 2-2 right now. They were in a close game just last week. What was it? They still had Tyrod Taylor. Yeah, so it definitely looks better than previous years. But once again,
trending up.
Yeah, for this season to recover from 0-4 is definitely difficult, of course.
Yeah, without a doubt. All right, let's look at week 5. I'm curious to see what you guys are saying. Anything you guys want to add on week 4 before we jump forward? Ready to jump into this great unknown here?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, first game. Week 5. San Francisco is visiting the LA Rams. Rams are 6.5-point favorites. I'm going Rams. Anybody going to pick that dog and go with San Francisco?
No.
It is not worth. What were you going to say, Josh?
No, I said I'm not doing that.
No. Okay, here's another one, guys. I'm curious of your take on this. Minnesota visiting the Browns are 3.5-point favorites to beat the Browns. I'm going with the favorite on this.
Well,
do I go
once
with
again,
the favorite?
it is London this week too.
Yeah, that's
London
true.
Game. Yeah,
that's true.
So I think this probably doesn't matter, but I'm sure it helps. The Vikings have been out of the U.S. for over 2 weeks now, so they will be used to not being on this time zone. I guess. I don't know if that helps, but this will be, I think, a low-scoring game. Very defensive heavy, very run heavy with Jordan Mason. He's a grinder back, and Quinshawn is the best player for the Browns. I don't think it's going to be high scoring. And that's pretty much it. I think it's going to be boring if you're in London and it's your first football game, you're going to be bored, I think.
Can I tell you where I'm torn? Where I'm torn is the Browns need a win. The gods of football don't let teams usually go this long. But Minnesota kind of needs a win.
They have let the Browns go that long before.
No, you're right. I'm going Minnesota. I'm definitely not going to go. I'm going Minnesota. All right, Tim, you're not. Everybody going Minnesota?
Yeah, Minnesota. Yeah.
I know it pains you.
It is going to echo that Packers Browns game, though. I agree with Caleb. I think it's a 14-10 type game, something like that.
Yeah, you look at. Sorry, I was just going to mention also the Vikings, of course, but the left and right tackle. I think Jack Conklin's out. Their right tackle is out for the season as well. So they traded for Cam Robinson from the Texans. So they have a fresh starter at left tackle, despite him being a starter in the league for years. And then once again, Dylan Gabriel is probably going to start in this game. So he's traveling, never played, playing with the tackle he's never probably even met yet. It's a big concern.
There's a lot to be concerned about. All right, I was going to say, let's move on to this game. Houston 2.5-point favorites visiting Baltimore without Jackson. They are favored. Anybody?
I'll take the Texans.
Okay.
I think we talked about it before. The Ravens are not healthy. Matabuke's out. Van Noy's been out. They have no edge rush pressure. They have one linebacker playing, and he's banged up. Roquan. Their secondary's been whacked. Jair Alexander's been benched already. They let up the most amount of points in the league. Nico Collins is going to torch somebody, whoever it is. Woody Marks is in. They're going to give him 25 carries because he's 22 years old. It doesn't matter. I mean, I think that the Vikings without Lamar, I don't think they have a shot, and to be honest. It's a good get-right game for the Texans.
Okay. Tim?
It might be bold. Sorry. It might be really bold.
No, I hear you, Caleb. And that's the logic. For some reason, my gut tells me Baltimore. I don't know why. I think it's the idea of I've never seen Baltimore go 1-4. I just can't see them. I mean, I'm sure they have, but in recent memory, I just can't see them being buried by week 5. I just can't see that. But logically, you're absolutely right. Now it is in Baltimore. I don't know if what that means. I don't know if I trust Houston's offense. They obviously did just have a great game. But, remember what we were saying last week. Will they even score 7 points? Now, again, Baltimore's defense is terrible. So I don't know. I say Baltimore, not based on any football knowledge, but just on a gut feeling.
Yeah.
Josh, go ahead.
I'll say I agree with Tim. I think that they're going to play in the same regard as how the Giants played, as they're going to run 500 times. Cooper Rush, he can take care of the offense and run an offense at a very boring level. We saw him. I mean, there was that stretch on the Cowboys where, like, does he continue to start for the rest of the year because he won 4 games in a row or whatever it was, 5 games in a row, something silly. So he can certainly manage. I know their defense is withering away as we speak. But you look at what the Houston Texans have allowed. I know it's skewed because of the previous game. They just allowed, or the Titans scored 0 points. So their average is 13 points a game defensively because of that. That's number 1 in the NFL. Of course, 32 for the Ravens. But this also leans back on the Texans, and C.J. Stroud have still not been able to capitalize on offense despite what the defense has been able to do. And so when you're running, just like the Chargers, top-level defense, they're able to stop all these big plays, yada, yada, yada. Cooper Rush is going to get the ball out in half a second, and they're going to run, and you're going to be annoyed with them. And they're just going to chip away at this offense that hasn't been able to put together great games other than against the Titans.
Yeah, I think you still have Derrick Henry, and you still have a lot of tools. I agree. Caleb, are you the lone wolf on this one? You're the only one going Houston?
I think so. Correction, Woody Marks is 24, so I might change my whole pick now.
No lone wolf.
He's old. Yeah. I think Texans have a good shot. I think it'll be a good game.
All right, let's transition. Miami Dolphins, 1.5 point favored to beat Carolina at home. Anybody taking Carolina? No. That's, I mean. Yeah.
No.
I think I'm going to do it.
No, before you do it, are you taking Carolina? You're lone wolf on us.
I think I am.
Okay.
I mean, you look at their offenses are identical. Tua's throwing the same amount of yards as Bryce Young. Devon Achan's running about the same as much as Chuba Hubbard. And obviously he has a receiving threat as well. Tyreek Hill is now out. Their number 1 receiver. He's averaging less per game than Teteroa McMillan. And then the time of possession for the Panthers right now is just insane. When they have a successful drive, they're top 3 or 4 in the league right now in time of possession. They just completely drain the clock. Dolphins the complete opposite. So that's the real pinpoint for this game is the Carolina Panthers. Every time you look at them on red zone, it's going to be them running the football. Maybe you don't see them because they're not going to be in the red zone, but
they won't be there.
But they're going to control the clock, and it's just the Dolphins are beatable. They had a great game in prime time for once.
They did.
Good for them.
Yeah.
But
yeah. And Tim, you're going Miami?
Yeah, I'm going Miami.
Yeah, my gut tells me Miami. All right, here's one. I don't know. I'm curious about this one as well. It looks like the Colts are favored by 6.5 at home against Vegas. Anyone taking the Raiders? Wow.
This game's going to be like 45-50 for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You're
but
right.
I think we all got the Colts. Okay, we're hot, so let's keep rocking. The New York Football Giants going down south to play the Saints. Saints actually are favored by 2.5 as of recording of this. Which
I like the Saints.
I agree.
I like the Saints.
Yeah, Tim.
I don't like either. Can I go for a tie for this one?
After last week, absolutely.
Yeah, after last week, right? It's a 0-0 tie. No, I mean, I like the Giants' defense. My gosh, the Giants' defense looked so good the other day. I mean, I wrote down 5 quarterback hits by Abdul Carter, Brian Burns. I don't know. Yeah, sure. I'll just to be different. I'll go Giants with very little confidence, but I'll go Giants just because it's more a knock against the Saints than pro Giants. But yeah,
I'm fearful that the Giants won't be able to put up explosive plays without Neighbors and Dart the way that they played last week. I just think one Rashid Shaheed over the top completion for a touchdown, or Chris Olave or Kamara. That might be too much for Dart to come back from at this point.
Yeah.
I think the Saints have been playing spirited ball. Like they seem like, if you're watching again, eyeball test, looks like they're in every game until they're not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so yeah, I'm going Saints.
I mean, that Bills game was one possession until the fourth quarter almost.
It was, yeah.
It was close.
And the only way to say it is they're playing spirited games because they're not that good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move down the road. Let's hope nobody tears up an ACL in the Meadowlands as Dallas visits the Jets. Dallas is coming in only a 3-point favorite, which is shocking to me. I'm taking Dallas on the favorite. Anybody taking the Jets?
No.
I think Breece Hall will have a really big game. Garrett Wilson will have his 20 targets, wherever he's going to get. I think it'll be a shootout, unfortunately, but I think Dallas pulls away with the win.
Yeah, the Dallas just has to focus on Garrett Wilson. You can let Breece Hall beat you. I think Arian Smith and Josh Reynolds played the entire game, and neither one of them did anything last week.
Yeah.
So it's clear and obvious who they have to stop. They have been the worst defense allowed yardage-wise, the Dallas Cowboys, and that's probably why the line is closer. But the Jets are going to be running all over them, and I think they can handle that and just respond in offense.
On Garrett Wilson and let them do what they want everywhere else.
Well, he wasn't much of a factor because Fields isn't throwing down the field. Okay, let's talk about – I'm going to start with a question, Caleb. The Philadelphia Eagles are favored 3.5 at home against Denver. Is this the game the Philadelphia Eagles lose? Caleb, put on your Schwami hat. Last year you predicted the Eagles pretty well. What's your gut tell you right now? Hold it up higher. Bo. Yes, there we go.
Yeah. I think they ran probably 40 times, 35 times against the Bengals, which is easy to do. But I think they're going to pull a page out of the Eagles book and just run. They're going to run a lot. And I think that they have similar weapons to what the Eagles have. A.J. Brown, Cortland Sutton, they're pretty similar players. Statistically, probably not, you can argue. But I think the roles they have in their teams are very similar. And I think that Sean Payton's a better coach, in my opinion. I think Sirianni is a great coach so far. He has been. Obviously, he has a Super Bowl winning record, all that stuff, all the accolades.
Did you say Sirianni's a great coach?
He has been on paper, is what I said after that. Okay. But you can cut that out if you want.
No. We don't cut anything out.
He has all the accolades. It's team sport, whatever. But Sean Payton, I just like him more. I think their team's more predictable, more balanced in the sense that they can get things going with Bo. Down the field, he loves to go down the field, as you saw the last few weeks. He's kind of come out of his little rusty offseason self that he was because he didn't play in the preseason. So I think that everyone's here. They're all arrived out of their rust, I could say. So I think Bo and the Broncos are a much better offense. They're more explosive right now. Obviously, the Eagles can turn it on at any moment, which worries me. But I'm going to go with the Broncos.
Tim, what's your thoughts?
Well, I've been texting with our friend Becca, our resident Eagles fan, and I said, every time I pick against the Eagles, they win. So I said, if the Eagles win again, I'll pick against them again. But for all the reasons Caleb said, I'm going Denver, which probably makes her happy and all Eagles fans happy because I've been wrong every single week, I think.
Yeah, me too.
But for all those reasons, and more just what we said before, on paper, Philly has a phenomenal team. We still haven't seen it yet. They have not played a good game. I think Philly fans, if they're honest, will tell you too. They haven't played a complete game yet at all, which is slightly concerning that we're 5 weeks in and we haven't seen a complete game from them. Now, the positive spin is they haven't played a complete game and they're undefeated. So you could look at it two different ways. But I'll go Denver here.
You said if they're honest. I don't think Philly fans think that they're anything but bulletproof at this point. So I don't know. Josh, what about you?
I always rationalize a reason to pick the Broncos, and then when I do, they always let me down. Like picking them against the Chargers. But I mean, if you take away the names from these teams and what they've done this year, the second best defense in the league right now is the Denver Broncos as far as points allowed, allowing under 17 points right now. They're number one in sacks in the NFL with 15. And then you add Pat Surtain and what he's been able to do. Obviously, he had a matchup against Jake Browning last week, and it wasn't a big game for him because Jamar Chase didn't have an opportunity to get the ball thrown to him. But you take away the nameplate, and the only thing that the Eagles have done better than them by the slightest margin is they scored 3 more points per game than the Denver Broncos. And so these teams are certainly closer than it would appear, 2-2 versus 4-0, like y'all are mentioning, and reasons why you guys are picking the Broncos. So I'm going to pick the Broncos and
All right.
be let down slightly again. But
I'm going to lone wolf because I don't ever want to be called a hater. Obviously, I don't like the franchise.
Yeah.
But I try to be fair on this podcast, especially. I'm going to keep picking Philly till they lose because the odds are you're going to get you're going to get it right if you go with them. They haven't lost a lot of football games. I'll say it for the 33rd week in a row. I don't know who this team is. I just don't know. If you were to give me their stat line, much like I gave you the Steeler analogy over the summer, if you were to give me their stat line, I would tell you they haven't won a football game. Because I just can't believe that they're not being productive. But I cannot bet against them. I'm going Eagles fly, Eagles fly. All right. Yeah.
Can I mention one thing about
Absolutely
the Broncos? Cortland Sutton, if you watch the game, obviously he had a touchdown. He's the second most touchdowns since 2023 from the wide receiver position, only behind Amonra. So
wow.
Consistent there. He scores, obviously, second most in the league behind Amonra. So look for him, and that's obviously not been a feature for the Eagles so far. If the Broncos are able to click, unlike they were able to against the Chargers, it could be a pretty wide margin because the Chargers are a significantly better defense than the Eagles right now. If the Broncos click, it's going to be not so pretty, I don't think.
Tim, let me ask you this before we move on. The Eagles have not been clicking on all cylinders yet this year, and yet they are 4-0. What on earth happens when they do?
And that's why, I am not a Philly fan by any stretch, but if I was a Philly fan, I do think they do have reason to be confident as possibly even the best team in football right now, from the standpoint of they're not playing like the best team in football. Like you said, their stats are terrible. But if they can get it going, and more just look around the rest of the league, these other teams are very flawed. If they can get it clicking right, at the right time of the season and put all these pieces together and whatever, watch out, because the Chiefs are. I mean, we don't have time to go through all the perennial favorites, but there's flaws in all of them, and I think the NFC is wide open, and I think that it's probably still the Eagles' championship. Yeah, to lose.
Yeah. All right, let's keep rocking. Tennessee, Arizona, big boys, 8.5-point favorites at home. Arizona. Anybody taking Tennessee?
No.
Not after picking them last week. No.
Yeah, no. Nobody
let you down.
Nobody should. All right, let's keep on rocking. Tampa Bay, they are underdogs going into Seattle. Seattle's 3-point favorite. Anybody taking Tampa Bay?
No, but this is I think my favorite game of the week. Honestly, this one and the Monday night one. But this is such a good matchup. I like Tampa Bay a lot. I think they're a very good team. I just like JSN better, and I like what Seattle's been doing. JSN, we talked about great receivers. Puka, I said, is probably playing right now as the best receiver in football. JSN's right there. He's had some. What did I write down here? I mean, I don't know if I wrote his numbers down from last week, but he's unstoppable until someone can slow him down. I like Seattle in this one.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, let's keep moving down the road. We have the Lions, 10-point favorites against Cincinnati. Is that right? That's a lot.
Gosh, you could tell me 20. It doesn't matter.
I don't care. It doesn't matter.
This is for you, Stan. That's a win all day long. It's an embarrassing win.
David Montgomery will have a million points, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
Do y'all know? Obviously, they can't pass the football with Jake Browning.
But they won't
Chase
do anything
Brown
about it.
Chase Brown is 133 yards this year.
The season.
hey, that's
4
more than
games.
AJ Brown.
33 a game. It's just that
Wow.
you can't rely on them in any phase of the offense. There was a 3-man rush against the Broncos that won against this Bengals offensive line. Both tackles lost the rep, and Jake Browning got hit.
How do they not make a change? Like I understand you only. I don't know. Again, this is where the Bengals make me scratch my head every single year as an ownership group. Like I understand. Okay, if you think you're a playoff team, right, and it's early in the year, you go after a quarterback so that you can still get to the playoffs. They're not. Like they picked up a couple guys like Mike White for their practice squad. Like that's not getting it done, guys. If you believe in this young quarterback, you are delusional. After last week, you should be panicking with this guy throwing the football.
He's not even young, but I would be.
He's younger
they're
than
not even
me.
being aggressive. But you can be aggressive and get Jameis Winston. You can be aggressive and get Russ Wilson now that he's not playing in the Giants. You can get any of these backups. I mean, Gardner Minshew, I know he's a high-end backup on the Chiefs, but somebody, if you think your offense, I mean, your whole salary cap is in 4 guys on your offense. Just make the move. Trade a 3rd-round pick, trade a 4th-round pick, get a backup quarterback that's feasible. Russell Wilson moonball to Jamar Chase will win you football games. I mean, I just don't understand. They're just
Jameis Winston moonball will win you.
Content with losing games for no reason. They have all this money tied up, wasted picks. It's embarrassing. They had 15 penalties called on them last game. It's a coaching issue on top of them not being Joe Burrow. You can't have a mulligan for the entire team playing bad because Joe Burrow's toes hurt. It's just ridiculous.
Tim, how long can they go? How long can they go before the coach is on the auction block? I mean, the chopping block.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Josh.
if they go, if they go a few more weeks, I think he's done. If they go 0-4 over these next 4 weeks, I think they cut him. I think they fire him in the middle of the year because that's part. We talked about this a little bit before we went on the air. Every team would want a Joe Burrow. He's a top 3 quarterback. Sure. I think we would all agree top 4, whatever. He's right there, wherever you want to put him.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Most teams don't have a Joe Burrow, so you gotta work with what you have and design your offense around. You can't just plug somebody in and just keep running the Joe Burrow offense. That's not how it works in sports. In any sport, you can't just lose a superstar, plug someone in, and hope to run that same offense. It doesn't work that way. So he should be on a very short leash.
Yeah. And go ahead.
No, I was going to say nonsense. I was listening to the Worldwide Leader today, and they were talking about Kirk Cousins, how he has a no trade clause. But this does
I forgot about him.
Well, but this does my heart good, and both makes me laugh out loud. They said, and this is the Worldwide Leader reporting this. Well, Kirk Cousins has a no trade clause, so he has stated that with his kids now starting school, he's going to be very particular about how far away he goes. And I'm like, who says this like out loud? I love it. Like I have kids, I think it's great, but wow. Just wow. What were you gonna say, Josh?
I was gonna say, of course, we're talking about them playing the Lions, which I don't how many the Lions could play the most mistake-filled game of their life and still walk away with a win because of because of the things we mentioned. But then they come back to the Packers, who have been sitting here thinking about this tie off their bye week, and they play the Bengals that next week.
Mm-hmm.
Then they play the Steelers. It's not going to happen. They're not going to win.
Easier. No.
Three straight losses within the division. I don't see a reason to keep Zach Taylor.
No.
Because if the team's this bad, marginally bad, not marginally bad. Significantly.
Your kicker doesn't miss kicks. Your special teams doesn't blow everything. Your secondary doesn't give up that many points. Your offensive line doesn't just stop blocking. Jamar Chase doesn't stop running routes because Joe Burrow's hurt. It's a coaching problem.
Yeah,
and then Jamar Chase yelling at him on the sideline during the game.
Right. Yeah, that's a bad look.
Well, we knew the culture is messed up when the ownership allows over $170 million to go towards 3 offensive players of your 250 some million salary cap.
It's gambling. How do you say it? It's like YOLO build a team. Like,
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Like, it didn't work.
Yeah.
Madden. It's like you're playing a video game.
All right.
For this, one more thought. I'm sorry.
Yeah, please. That's what we're here for.
The 2 games that they've won this season are games that they didn't even necessarily win themselves. You had the Browns with all their mishaps week 1, a 1-point win where the Browns the rookie kicker missed the field goal.
Right.
Then you have the Jags game where they just threw that away and they went for it and missed on the short yardage in the red zone. So they didn't necessarily like take over a game at any point this season, and now they're collapsing against these top level defenses, these teams and games they're not going to win.
No.
Yeah.
No. Let's keep rocking. This one shouldn't be hard for us to choose. Washington Commanders. I don't know if they're going to have a starting quarterback again. I'm being honest. And they're going with the Chargers, who need a win. They're 3-point favorites at home. I'm going Chargers all day. Anybody going with the Washington football team, Commanders, Redskin franchise? No.
Nope.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe no-brainer. Here's an interesting one because I know you guys. The Buffalo Bills are favored by 8.5 points at home against New England. Anybody taking the New England Patriots?
I will.
All right.
I don't know.
Is this fueled by Bills hatred, or is this just a good?
No, I mean, I don't hate the Bills. I just disagree with their coaching. I don't think that they're a great team. I think it's Josh Allen. It's Dan Marinoism. I think Josh Allen's just that good.
Amen. Yep.
You have an overperforming running back who's good. He puts up points. He gets yards. He's fine. But he's overperforming, in my opinion. Josh Allen allows it to happen because of who he is. Anyway, I think that New England has a chance. It's divisional. New England, they're pretty hot. They put up a lot of points last week. I know it was Carolina. Drake May has been playing almost perfect ball this year so far. His progression has been great, and he's comped to Josh Allen a lot with his abilities. Really good quarterback. Defense is healthy. Christian Gonzalez is back. They can line up him on whatever receiver decides to be the number 1 this week because the Bills don't have a number 1 receiver. Linebackers are solid. Spillane, Gibbons against that run game that James Cook has. So I think it's going to be a close game. It's divisional, coin flip kind of game, but I think New England gets it.
Anybody else going against the Bills? You want to? I can see it, Tim. You want to?
You can joke me later.
I think I was trying to look up as you were talking Patriots win loss, like what the point differential has been in their game so far this year. But I think it's a close game. I gotta go Buffalo. It's hard to pick. It's hard to pick against Josh Allen. It's 100%. Hard to say that, especially at home on a Sunday night football. I can kind of get the whole vibe going. But I think it's close. I agree with everything. Everything Caleb said is spot on. James Cook having a great season, but a lot of it is what Josh is creating there, right? And so
culture.
And I don't trust Buffalo's defense, right?
No.
The only one I trust less would be Baltimore's defense, and so. Or maybe Dallas's defense. Sorry, but yeah. So I'll go Buffalo, but I'll go Buffalo, but in a close game, a tight game.
Josh,
I'm going to take Buffalo as well, but I think this is the game. I'm going to mention both sides of the football here. The game that the Patriots realize they need to get Travion Henderson more involved. They've had fumbling concerns with Ramondre Stevenson through his career. He has already had a game with 2 fumbles. In that same game, Antonio Gibson fumbled. But then you look at the Bills' offense. They had their first turnover on offense this season just last week. And I think you're getting the best version of Josh Allen without a number 1 receiver in Joe Brady's offense. I don't like their offense. I don't like the idea of it. But it's just no wide receiver 1. All these out plays to their running backs. I mean. If you take out Josh Allen, that offense is miserable, in my opinion, just the way that it's run. But Josh Allen, just being able to play football, see the reads, see the progressions, and just throw it to his guy, trusting that the NFL player there will be able to catch it and not, focus on getting the ball to Stephon Diggs. He's been a guy that's not turning over the football. Last year he had 6 interceptions. This year is 1 through 4 games. So we're seeing the absolute best version of him. He's not having the massive, gaudy passing numbers. Like his last 3 games are 148, 213, and 209.
Yeah.
But you're seeing calculated Josh Allen, methodical Josh Allen, And I just don't think that is what the Patriots offense is right now, despite the efficiencies and the success of May right now.
Yeah, I think, I say this week in and week out, I have to continue to just shout this. It's a coach's game. This is a coach's game. So when I think about these two teams, obviously they've got Dan Marino. I mean, Josh Allen. Because there's the parallels too much. I mean, he doesn't have a team around him. Let's just be honest. But he also doesn't have Don Shula, and by that I mean, like, Sean McDermott is not a great head coach, guys. Sorry. He's probably been what's eliminated them more than anything else because they can't get past their coaching. What makes me, I'm taking Buffalo. What makes me want to take New England is Vrabel is a much, much better coach. And because I believe firmly in a coach's league, I'm going to take Buffalo because it's a safe 8.5. I mean, but it's going to be close, like you said, Tim. And to y'all's credit, I think Vrabel is going to scheme this thing up. I could be dead wrong. Buffalo, it's a divisional game. Buffalo could come and drop 80 on them. Who knows? But I just feel in my gut that New England's coaching is going to matter, Caleb.
Yeah, one thing that's cool to add is Stephon Diggs is playing against them. Revenge game. He does not like them. How he left them, it was not good for him. He left on a bad note. So they moved him to the slot this past week on the Patriots. So he was really productive. He had 100 yards his first game there in the slot. So I think they're going to struggle covering him, especially with Cole Bishop being their safety. He kind of lets up big plays, and their linebackers, Matt Milano, he's not consistent. So I think that Stephon Diggs will get his in this game, and he could be the factor in this game.
All right, let's close out. We have one more game to talk about, guys. I'm actually excited about this game a great deal myself.
Monday night.
Kansas City and Jacksonville. Kansas City's coming into Jacksonville as 3.5 point favorites right now. I'm going KC. I'll be the first to say I think we were just talking. We're talking to Becca about this. Like Kansas City, I don't think they need to worry. I think as long as you have Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes, I don't care who else you have. I'm just being honest. I don't care if Kelsey's old. I don't care if Worthy ran into Kelsey. I don't care. Sooner or later, those two guys are too smart and too talented not to string it together. Worthy made a big difference coming back. They're running the football well. He's passing the football well. I think it just took time, and they're going to be fine. And as much as I like Jacksonville, I really do, and I like what they're doing. I really do. I think right now momentum is a big deal, and KC has it and needs it more than Jacksonville does. So I'm going KC. Who is anybody taking Jacksonville?
No, but I think it'll be close. I wouldn't be surprised if Jacksonville won. But a note on Mahomes is this past week was the first game he had, I think, over 3 touchdowns since 2023. So this is his best game he's had in over a year. I think a year and a half, roughly. But best game, and I think it's 100% because Worthy was back. You saw the first few weeks of the year he had no receivers. Hollywood was the number one. Tyquan Thornton scored every week as their number one, but it's like one catch for 20 yards and a touchdown, like not good receiving numbers. But Mahomes looks like Mahomes, MVP Mahomes. So I think it's encouraging. They need to figure out their run game. Their run game is still abysmal. It's bad. It's really bad. That's one reason I think that Jacksonville can win this game slightly. I'm like 75% Chiefs, 25% Jacksonville. Because of the run game that Jacksonville has with Liam Cohen, they run the ball well. ETN's top 5 in efficiency in the league. They're going to run the clock out. They're going to try to keep away for sure, and kind of minimize the problems that Trevor Lawrence had in the previous games. And hopefully Brian Thomas can get on the right page there too. So interesting game. I think we can learn a lot about these two teams going forward from it.
Tim, what's your takeaway?
Go ahead, Tim.
Oh, I cut you off.
Well, I was just going to say, I don't think there's any team in the NFL where the narrative has changed as quickly as it has been the Kansas City Chiefs, right? We sat here last week. Well, no, maybe 2 weeks ago. They were 0-2. It was 2 weeks ago. They were 0-2 going into the Giants. And we picked the Giants, or I picked the Giants. I think a few of you guys did too, right? Basically saying that the Chiefs were going to start the season 0-3. Well, they're now 2-2, and now looking at the rest of the AFC, you go, well, if they can keep this going, they did. That's a big win over Baltimore, over what we considered to be a good Baltimore team. And now in hindsight, maybe they're not that good. So I go back to what you said, Dave. Momentum. I think that plays a huge part in this game. Coaching. I'd love to see Jacksonville win just to change that narrative there, and just have them kind of declare, hey, we're here, we're back with the big boys again. But I don't think they do. I think Kansas City wins this game.
Josh, we cut you off. I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
No, you're fine. I was going to say, with Caleb saying they have not run the football very well, the Kansas City Chiefs, their leading rusher in yards per game is their quarterback with 32 yards per game. Right now, ETN is averaging nearly 100. And then on the opposite side of the football, Brenton Strange is the leading receiver in yards per game for the Jaguars with 46 yards. There's still meat on the bone there for Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter. I don't know if De'Ami Brown's coming back, but De'Ami Brown, there's room there. And then you look at the defense of the Jacksonville Jaguars. They've had 2 interceptions or more every single game defensively. They lead the league in takeaways. They have 9 interceptions. They're doing very well there. They have an explosive offense that still hasn't tapped into their receivers' potential in this offense under Liam Cohen. I think the Jags are a great team. Honestly, they should be 4-0 because of that game against the Bengals. Am I saying that they're as good as other 4-0 teams? No, I'm not saying that they're going to beat the Bills and the other guys here, the Eagles necessarily.
For sure.
But I think they need a little more respect. I think people, if Liam Cohen wasn't the face of the franchise, I think people would appreciate or fear them a little bit more. But I think some people perceive him to be
goofy,
kind of unserious.
Duval, that guy.
I just think they're a team that has had, despite the passing game, has been good basically everywhere else.
Yeah, let me ask you guys this because I'm unclear, so maybe our listeners are kind of unclear. What is going on with the coaches, with Liam and Robert Saleh? Because I heard a little bit of what Robert Saleh said. Then they had an altercation on the sideline and more or less had to be separated, where Liam's basically screaming at him, "Keep my name out your mouth." Something to do with calls. Obviously, I can look this
stealing.
up. Stealing signs, or does anybody have any real insight into this?
I didn't even know it was a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Saleh walked it back today. I did read something I know the day that we're recording this Tuesday, Saleh walked back and basically apologized and said he used the wrong use of words or wrong choice of words. And
saying you legally, he said you legally stole our signs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he was just slighted, and
right.
Yeah.
Well, kudos. What were you gonna say? I was just gonna say kudos for Liam for being brave enough. Robert Saleh's a big man. I don't know. I want to be calling my brother out. Like I'd be like, I don't know, but he's calling him out. He was coming at him. Like if you watch the tape, he was coming at him for sure.
Yeah.
Tim, you said that as far as looking at the games, you said that your most exciting game that you were looking forward to the most was
I want to see that Tampa Bay Seattle one. I know it's not like a matchup as far as like 2 big markets, but I think that's going to be a telling matchup. I think they're 2 of the better teams in the NFC. I do. I think they're potentially 2 playoff teams. And so I'm curious. Some big stars on both sides.
Yeah, we're in trash time, guys. Anything you guys want to talk about before we move on?
Trash time.
I will say this. I used to say this every year in the past, so let me say it again. If you are currently playing fantasy football and you have a Falcon, a Bear, a Packer, or a Steeler, set them because you will not get points from this week. They have our first official wave of the bye in week 5, which is crazy. Again, that's Atlanta, Chicago, Green Bay, and Pittsburgh. If you have a player, bench them. They are not playing. Don't get that goose egg. Nothing worse than losing that way. Final thoughts, Caleb?
Real quick, what do we think of Pittsburgh really quickly? Let me ask you that. 3-1.
What do you think,
Are they
Josh?
for real?
What do I think? This is the week to not think about the Steelers. No,
I know it is, right?
I'm kidding. Same for you, but
exactly, yeah.
They look like they can comfortably win a game, and then suddenly the game is very close at the end, despite the game not necessarily being that close. So I don't know why that's the case. The Vikings game shouldn't have been 24-21.
Right.
They ran away with the first half. So that's concerning, just being able to close out games. But I think
this their division now? Is this their division now with Baltimore taking a step back and Burrow being out?
I think it is. Just because the Bengals what are they? A bottom 3 team without Joe
Right.
Burrow right now?
Mhm.
The spread, a 10-point spread, you said? Yeah, that's this division. They led it last year. You know, they weren't better than the Ravens, but they led it, and once again they lost the division at the end of the season with Russell Wilson losing those 3 or 4 games, and they still made the playoffs. So I think without the competition there, yes, they'll end up as the number 1 in the division.
Yeah.
But it's also a way for the other teams in the division to cope and say that, you know, it's because our teams were injured. But, yeah. I think they're a good team, not a great team. But I think with, of course, as we mentioned several times, with Aaron Rodgers, they have an ability to beat a team one game in the playoffs that they didn't have in previous years. So
Yeah.
What's your thoughts, Pittsburgh?
Oh, Pittsburgh, man. I think Aaron Rodgers has unlocked them pretty much. I think that they've been lacking this since Big Ben. He hasn't been sending the ball downfield even. It's just the respect for the passing game. I think we saw the Vikings, especially, they were kind of scared to let them throw deep downfield. I know that big Metcalf touchdown was a dump off, but just the respect, I think it opens up the run game more, as we saw Kenneth Gainwell off the bench having 100+ yards and a touchdown, looked great. It just balances out the team. They know that Aaron Rodgers could possibly do that, so it kind of puts respect on them as an offense as a whole, and they're not as predictable as they were in the past years.
Yeah, I think, Tim, my takeaway so far is I've been screaming from the rooftops, you know. You've heard me say this. I'll say it maybe for the last time tonight. But that if you didn't say it was the Pittsburgh Steelers and you just said, hey, there's a team that goes to the playoffs every year, but they've never had a good quarterback. They've had two great quarterbacks in their entire franchise, in my opinion.
Right.
But they haven't had a good quarterback in a while. And now they got a veteran who's got a great proven track record, won a Super Bowl. You'd be like, awesome. But then you say it's Pittsburgh, and they're like, fire Mike Tomlin, you know? I agree with what Caleb said, and I also want to throw in the other caveat that I keep dwelling on. Nobody's playing preseason games. Like, Aaron Rodgers didn't get tons and tons of reps, you know, and Gainwell didn't get tons and tons of reps. And this defense looked shady, and they're stingy. They take the ball away, and you got to love that. But I agree with what everyone said. I think the upside to Aaron Rodgers is he can whip the cape out if he needs to, I think. And I hope, you know, so you know more than anyone what he's capable of. But I do think as long as he's healthy, this team is slowly, again, guys, this is football without preseason now, really. So we're just now in week 5 starting to see teams actually start playing like they should be playing, maybe. So I like them a lot, and I do think everything in their division is pointing towards them winning. I know it's early. It's a long season. Anything could change. But barring injury right now, even with Burrow, I don't think that team's that good. Not good enough to compete for this division. So I don't know. I don't want to put them too high for sure. I mean, but I like their – and I'm kind of a homer. I'll admit that because I think low-key they could have done better with a veteran quarterback. Go ahead, Caleb.
It's just funny to see in years past, the Steelers, since Big Ben left, were the only team in the division without a starter because the Browns had Baker and then Deshaun for a minute.
Yeah.
But the Bengals have Burrow and the Ravens have obviously Lamar. And it's just funny that the Steelers are the only team with a quarterback this week.
Yep, that's so true.
Yeah.
Right.
Like him or hate him. Tim, a question for you. We've said, you know, early on, and I think, you know, I want to get everyone's feedback. We said Green Bay looked like a playoff caliber team. Obviously, the last couple of weeks has changed some people's mind. I don't buy into the wins and losses on a weekly level as much as everyone else does. I look at the big picture. Are you still feeling like Green Bay has a potential to be, I'll ask everybody, to be a Super Bowl roster?
Yeah, I would say that even not as a Packers fan, because here's what I love about the NFL. You as long as you don't bury yourself too early on and you know you have a good team, you have talent, you know, you're not the Titans, you know, you're a team that you thought had a chance going into it, which there's probably, I don't know, maybe half the league that thought they had a realistic chance of winning the Super Bowl going into this season. The nice part is you figure out where your weaknesses are and you work on those throughout the year. The Packers' weaknesses have been exposed. And that's like, it doesn't take a rocket science to figure out, you know, we've got special teams. They had some issues with penalties. And this past week, the defense was off. So if they can hone in on those things and get their offensive line back healthy and protecting Jordan Love and creating holes for Josh Jacobs, they're just as dangerous, I think, as any other team. But it really is the idea of putting yourself in position so that when we're talking here in week 12, week 13, week 14, have they corrected that? Have they made that adjustment? We talked, bringing this whole podcast full circle. It comes back to coaching, right? You can't just throw a bunch of players out there and hope it just works. You have to be able to make adjustments throughout the season. Look at the Kansas City Chiefs in the small little microcosm of the season. We said after 0-2, they looked washed. They looked terrible. They're done. Well, I don't know if we actually said those words. I implied it. But in just a short 2-week swing, they made some adjustments. And obviously, players coming back. But so I know it's a long answer to your question. But Green Bay, obviously they started incredibly hot, 2-0. They look like the perfect team, but there is no perfect team, obviously. And so you look at what your warts are and your issues and your deficiencies, and you hopefully improve upon those. I really like Matt LaFleur. I think he's a good coach. I think he's good at identifying some of their weaknesses. And so I think they'll be there at the end. I do.
Josh?
And so will the Lions.
Oh, Caleb, you had your hand up. You go next.
Yeah, I'll go. This takes second. But I think right now they're 2-1-1, which is that's better than anything else, I guess. But coming out of the bye,
better than 2-2, right?
They play Cincinnati, which is I think is a win. Arizona, I think it's a win. Pittsburgh, they could split, so I'm not going to count it as a win.
Yep.
Carolina's a win. Phillies split. Giants win. Minnesota, you play them week 18, I think. After that,
yep,
you normally split. You might split.
Yep.
Detroit, you already beat them, so that's a loss probably. Chicago's a win.
Yeah.
Denver, it's a loss, or I mean it's 50-50.
Yeah.
Chicago, it's the second time playing them, so I don't know. And then Baltimore. See how
Are you keeping a tally
Lamar's
here?
in or not. Yeah, so it's 9 wins out of the next 12 games. So I think just with that, they're a playoff team 100%. I think if you guys don't have to play the Vikings or the Lions in the first round of the playoffs, then you'll have a real good chance of going deep in the playoffs. Because right now, it depends on how the Eagles game goes week 10, I think, because it's hard to beat teams twice. I think it's in Lambeau, that game. So I mean, I still feel great about the Packers. Special teams you can easily address, just move some personnel around, pick up some free agents, see what you can do there. But defense, it's just Devontae Wyatt getting hurt, some injuries on the secondary. Carrington Valentine's not going to whiff like that again, I think, because he's pretty shut down previous years when he had to fill in. So I think y'all have a really good chance. I'm not worried about them at all. I think I would lock them in as a playoff team. If the Lions don't fall off, I would lock them in. I mean, I think they have a really good chance, 50-50 right now for me, to be the winner of the division. So I think 100% a playoff team. So I'm not worried at all.
Yeah.
Josh?
Yeah, right now, Quay Walker is leading the NFL in tackles defensively. Micah Parsons, he is third highest pass rush win rate in the NFL, behind Myles Garrett and Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson, right around there. So third or fourth in the NFL. Jordan Love, I think he's third or fourth in touchdowns, ironically behind Aaron Rodgers and Jared Goff and Lamar Jackson. I mean, yes, they've had poor defensive performances, but there will be better days. They're not going to be playing against for the sake of saying it for everybody else, the number one offense in the NFL, Dallas Cowboys, every single week. But I think it's an overreaction both ways. After 2 weeks, we're like, well, I guess they're the best team in the league. They're going to the Super Bowl. And then after 2 weeks, we're like, well, maybe they aren't as good as we thought. They're getting an early rest. They have a favorable schedule, as Caleb mentioned. There's not a ton of positions that are lacking. There's way more positives than negatives. It's not going to be as tight of a division as it was last year with the Vikings getting 14 wins and the Lions having a top 5 offense of all time. It's certainly a year for them to compete and be at the top of that division.
The Lions are revving up, and I feel like they're going to be the biggest challenge for sure. And I think they'll win the division. If I'm being honest, I think the Lions will do what the Lions do. They'll probably, get a lot of wins, put up a lot of points. Their defense is very good. and I think they're starting to get momentum. My pick is the Lions win the division. They both get in, which you guys, again, like I think Caleb said it, if y'all don't have to place the Lions, forget the Vikings. I'm not worried about the Vikings because they have J.J. McCarthy, and he's terrible. So the truth is, if they happen to get in with J.J. McCarthy, I don't like their chances at all. So that's a win for you guys. I got a conspiracy theory for you here, Tim. This is that 27 plus 1 theory. If you're new to the podcast, excuse me, we said a few weeks ago, Bart Starr was 27, won a Super Bowl for the Packers. Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, all 27, and then you had the plus 1 theory, where it's Brett Favre at 27 plus. They added Reggie White, won a Super Bowl, and you said Aaron Rodgers was 27 and added Charles Woodson. Okay, here's my conspiracy theory. It is now Jordan Love who will be 27 during the time of the Super Bowl, and they added Micah Parsons as the plus 1. My conspiracy theory is Aaron Rodgers, former Green Bay Packer, is the plus 1 on the Pittsburgh Steelers that get to the Super Bowl. How about that?
How great would that be?
Wouldn't that keep kind of that mojo alive?
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Kinda?
That would be.
Kinda?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah.
Now he's 27 twice now, but I mean, he's been 27, before.
His career is legal drinking age. It's 21. So
Yeah.
it's been illegal a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man, the ratings. I guess it doesn't. The Super Bowl ratings are always great, but man, could you imagine a Packers Steelers Super Bowl? Just that storyline of Rodgers, Love, and the whole thing, and it's a good conspiracy theory. I like.
I was just thinking about it's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense.
No, it is, but
but nonsense is fun. Hey, we have a great time doing this, so thanks for tuning in and listening. Don't forget, you can find us anywhere at Guys Without Helmets. We're on Instagram, obviously YouTube, and you can listen to us anywhere that you listen to podcasts. Make sure and like and subscribe. It always helps us out. Guys, it's going to be a great week. I look forward to jumping in here with you and seeing how well we did with these picks, and we'll see you next time on Guys Without Helmets.